I welcome you all to another edition of our live Radio Bridge program, and the topic today is Development of Northeast in 70 Years, a Retrospect. We have become independent from the British colonial rule for more than 70 years now. Ever since independence, we have seen a sea of change in terms of development in various sectors such as infrastructure, communication, connectivity, education, science and technology, human resource development, skill development, stability, and last but not the least, peaceful atmosphere. But the question that arises along with all these developments is, are we really in the right direction? Has all sectors received equal priority when it comes to these developmental activities? Has it been a people-oriented approach, and are the people happy with such activism or development? Are we moving in the right direction? And what more needs to be done, or what approach needs to be adopted to ensure that the fruits of development reach every nook and corner and every stakeholder in the region? Now, these are some of the questions that we will raise today in this discussion on the topic that I've already mentioned, development of Northeast after 70 years of independence, a retrospect. And to find answers to all our queries raised, we are being joined in our respective AIR stations by a panelist, and they are Dr. L. Lalraikpui, who is an Associate Professor, Department of Economics, Mizoram University, Aizawl. We also have from Agartala, Satya Brata Chakraborty, Senior Journalist, Poet and Critic. We also have from Gangtok, Bhim Tatal, who is the Director, Primary Education, HRD Department, Government of Sikkim, Gangtok. And of course, from Itanagar, we have Professor Nani Bhatt, who is the Head of Department, Political Science from Rajiv Gandhi University, Doimuk. So very, very warm welcome to each of our panelists. I really hope you can hear me loud and clear so that we can really initiate this discussion. And well, if you can hear me, I have the first question and I will be throwing open this question to our panelists from Aizawl. Very good evening to you.
Good evening.
Very warm welcome, Dr. L. Lalraikpui.
Thank you.
Okay. And what would be your first thought when it comes to the developmental activities and their progress in the northeastern region? Would you certainly agree that we are on a faster mode of development now than never before?
See, tonight I am here to analyze whether we as Northeasterners are satisfied with the pace of development in our region after, 70 years of independence. Without any second thought, I would say that, the pace of development has rather been slow. And I would like to mention the first reason why I thought that development is rather slow is because the central government doesn't take the Northeastern region seriously. And it is a high time, they take us with an open mind towards its development as an integral part of the nation.
Now that I've just got your quick opening comments, can I go to our other stations as well? Professor Nani Bhatt, a very good evening to you as well.
Yeah, good evening.
All right. So you have just heard, our panelists from Aizawl making the opening comments. What would be your opening comments as far as, our developmental activities that has progressed in the last 70 years in the Northeast?
Rather than calling it developmental activities, I'd like to call it as a developmental perspective.
Right.
I, as a political science student who have been associated with the political teaching for so many years,
right, sir,
would like to slightly differ from what my friend from Mizoram said. This is because of the fact that in Arunachal Pradesh, if you look at the developmental activities initiated by the government of India, or for that matter the government of Arunachal Pradesh, I have an impression that after 1962 or immediately after the independence of a country, now especially after the present government took over, it gives me an understanding that developmental pace has very much increased to manifold.
So you feel that now you are in the right track. Itanagar and Arunachal Pradesh is on the path of development.
Of course, it's a part of development, but it's difficult to say whether in a right track or in a wrong track. It's a matter of debate, I would say.
Absolutely, and that is what this discussion is all about. We will discuss and debate a little bit more on this. I would like you to come in, when our other panelists are also talking, you can always, also mention your comments even in between the other panelists. Now let me just go to Agartala. It's like traveling from one place to another, though I'm sitting here in Shillong. And Satya Brata Chakraborty, who is a senior journalist, poet and critic. Very interesting indeed. You are there in Agartala. I warmly welcome you as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Quickly, may I also have your opening comments? So what are your thoughts?
Especially Northeast is a neglected region for so long. After independence, adequate attention was not given for development of this region from Delhi. So we have numerous problems. I know there is a range of development in many areas, remarkably many areas. But poverty, unemployment could not be solved, and there is hardly any effective and pragmatic approach to develop infrastructure for economy is not there so far. It is unfortunate and deplorable.
Okay, all right. I'll come back to you once again, sir. Then let me bring in our panelists from Aizawl. Ma'am, I think we all agree that so far each of you have painted not a very, very bright scenario when it comes to developmental, of the entire Northeast, right? So in spite of 70 years have rolled by, so where have we faltered according to you? Where has things gone wrong, you feel?
See, from Itanagar, one of the panelists was highlighting his point. I believe he's a political thinker.
Yes.
From his perspective, maybe there are some developments.
Right.
But being an economist, my reason here is that, in our region, we have lacked the population of what we call skill-based population. The educational system that we have are all theoretical knowledge. So it is a high time that we have a vocational-centric syllabus. That is the first point that I would like to mention here tonight. That is human resource development. Northeastern region, as a Northeasterner, I believe that we lack skill, be it in terms of entrepreneurial or vocational managerial skills.
Right.
So the first priority that we should have, or any development policy in Northeast should focus to, is on skill development.
Right, but then isn't that being highlighted now? Isn't that also being stressed right now? Skill India mission, that is, very forcefully.
Are we really included?
I see, okay. All right, why do you say that we are not included?
See, there's certain points that I would like to mention here.
Yes, ma'am, just hold on to your thoughts. Ma'am, just hold on to that thought,
okay.
Because I would like to bring in our panelists from Gangtok there. So, Bhim Tatal, who's the Director, Primary Education, you are there right now, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, I'm here.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you too. So quickly, let me just also hear your opening comments, because we have heard the opening comments of the other panelists. So quickly, if I may know, what do you feel, how well or how not so well have we progressed when it comes to development of Northeast in the last 70 years?
Well, thank you for the question. Talking in terms of Sikkim with the Northeast, I have some things to mention. The first thing is that Sikkim became a part of India in 1975 only,
right?
Of which we are only 45 years old with India. And we became a part of the Northeast in 2008. Therefore, it has been only 11 years that we are in the Northeast.
Right.
So we have a history of development of Sikkim as Indian state for about 45 years.
Right.
And in the past 45 years, the development in Sikkim has been, so I must say, so fast, so rapid, that in the past 4 decades, we feel like we've entered from the third world to the first world country. What has been the pace of development? Whatever the other friends from other northeastern states have said, I also agree with them as well. But in the case of Sikkim, it is something different.
Right.
Because although we became a part of India in 75 only, the progress is really fast.
I would just like quickly now to bring, our panelists from Aizawl. Ma'am, you were saying that, skill mission is there, but then is the Northeast included? Quickly, you want to just butt in?
See, we have been facing a serious unemployment scenario in our region. I would just like to cite the Census of India 2011.
Right.
See, in Northeastern region, in another 15 to 20 years, the population of this region will be dominated by the age group of 19 to 20 and a strong pull base of 35 to 50 years.
Okay.
So this second population base, the 35 to 50 years range, which is in their 20s and 90s now, they should be inculcated in vocational, entrepreneurial, and managerial skills. Why so? Because in this way, the Northeastern, we as a Northeasterners, our dependency on skilled population from other parts of India will decline.
May I come in?
Yes, please do.
There is one more important thing that I would like to make here is that Sikkim has never been under the British control, not even the East India Company personnel stationed in Sikkim. Prior to 1975, Sikkim was a protectorate of the government of India. Prior to 1950, it had an international identity as an independent nation. So in between 1950 to 75, the development of Sikkim was purely based on the wisdom and vision of the then Chogyal, the King, who had some visions from the European countries, and that is how they developed the state. We have our educational background as having the first English school in 1906. And thereafter modern education in Sikkim starts in the late 50s. And by now we have become one of the largest educational hubs in the country. And we have really progressed far in tourism sector, hydropower sector. We are the second largest biodiversity in the world.
How much of these development, when you are, you're laying out, and it really feels very, very encouraging that, so much of development has happened, you feel, in Sikkim over the years. How much of it you would attribute to the administrative or the support given by administration or by the people themselves? Because a lot of development also depends on the people, whether they initiate progress in the right direction when it comes to developmental activities as well.
Yeah, the credit goes in the first place to the people of Sikkim themselves.
Right, exactly.
The matter being that we have been peace-loving and the past so many years we have not seen any kind of disturbances in the state. If you cursorily compare the per capita income, especially of the northeast state, Sikkim at this moment has almost the purchasing power parity of Sikkim is almost about 10 lakhs. And of these 8 states in the north, Sikkim stands at the top with a capacity comparable to that of China.
That is
last
really
one
nice.
that I will not name the state. It has a capacity of around 2.4 lakhs, comparable to that of Cameroon.
Wonderful, wonderful. Maybe we can learn a lot from Sikkim. The other states can learn a lot from Sikkim, right?
But we have more 8 states, 7 states here.
And yes, we can learn from our brother. I guess all the sisters can learn a lot from their brother. Let me just bring in, can we just bring in our panelist from Agartala once again, Satyabrata Chakravarti, sir?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, so far, it is quite balanced, I suppose, because Gangtok is really going well, saying that so much of development has happened, though they have attributed it to the people also. But then you have actually not been too happy when it comes to developmental activities that has happened. But then, having said so, what about connectivity? What about communication? Don't you think what we were before? I mean, at least Northeast now is well connected. At least from capital to capital, we are well connected with each other.
But whenever you think that it is a span of 70 years, the connectivity should have been much more effective.
Right.
Say, Tripura, which became Union territory in 1963 and finally got recognition for being a state in January 1972. This landlocked state, there is hardly any communication so that we can touch the Indian mainstream.
Yes.
The National Highway number 44, it goes through the hilly terrains, and during monsoon, it becomes disrupted seriously due to heavy landslides.
Right.
So the connectivity is yet to be made at par with the mainstream India when enormous potential is there in Northeast.
Right, very true.
But we are facing the serious problem of unemployment. Hundreds, thousands and lakhs of job seekers, they are striving hard for their existence.
Right.
Now, one thing I should point out here, that for the emancipation of economy in Northeast region, as it being a very landlocked area, we should look forward to the vibrant economy of Southeast Asia. Through Bangladesh, it is very much, we are fortunate, we are thankful to the generosity of Dhaka, they have offered the opportunity to utilize Chittagong port, which is 70 kilometers away from Tripura's southernmost point, and the distance can be easily negotiated.
All right, yes, ma'am, you are coming in. Yes, a quick rebuttal from you. Yes, what were you saying?
India is on the track to act East policy.
Yes.
I believe that the government should act Northeast first, instead of act East.
All right. So that is it. Yeah. I just like to bring in from Itanagar because the Professor Nanibat is still there. Because you are very.
May I come in, ma'am?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to thank our co-panelists for having presented their perspective on the developmental issues in Northeast India. But having said this, I would like to request all the panelists, let us agree to disagree. Let us try to understand and give our own perspective. Now, my understanding and my question is that if Sikkim, which became a part of India in 1975, could overtake rest of the states in Northeast region, and if Sikkim which became a part of NEC,
country also.
Sikkim is very, very happy with its state of affairs.
Of course, must be happy because I've been there. I know the developmental trajectories there. Now coming back, why can't we? Now I also agree with my co-panelists from Mizoram, also from Tripura, which says that unemployment is a problem, and in order to solve problems of unemployment, we have to have skill development.
But entrepreneurship is also being given a lot of thrust, right?
Of course, that's what I said. Yes, I wanted to say. In Arunachal Pradesh, for example, we also have not only skill development mission, but also we have Directorate of Skill Development here. Full-fledged directorate we have here. But the problem is that we cannot just depend on the government of India. We cannot just depend on the incentives of the government of India or the agencies of the government of India. We have to change the mindset. Nobody from Arunachal Pradesh, for that matter from Assam or any other state, many states, unlike maybe Mizoram, wanted to take up this other activities, tailoring activities, or even Kovla. So in that situation, what does the government do? Therefore, what my understanding is that, yes, we would be needing skill development, and we cannot just be dependent on the incentives of the government. Therefore, we have to think for the sustainable development. And sustainability will come not only on the activities of the government, but also reciprocity of the people of the respective.
Point very well taken, and I would just like to quickly bring in Lalrai Pui once again, because you might just differ a little bit. Quickly, your point.
I agree with him partly, because the need of the hour is state intervention.
But isn't the state also intervening? Because a lot, it's there before us, and we just need to go and grab it. I mean, you cannot expect the government to do everything. So the people also
the thing is, there is a lack of connection between those budding entrepreneurs and the government. There must be something, any kind of intermediaries or any kind of connection that can bridge the gap between the budding entrepreneurs and the state government.
I think that's a valid point as well. That gap that is there, that needs to be bridged.
Yes, filled up. Yes.
I have a statement to make which is comparative rather. When we talk of what government does and how it does, in terms of India as a whole, one of our friends was talking about the active policy, which earlier was a lookist policy. When the government changed, it became active policy. And in terms of this change in the way they have been looking into it, has not made much of difference when it comes to the Northeast matter. However, in terms of Sikkim, what I see is that in the last 45 years, the government, what the first government did was carried forward by the next government. And there has been an uninterrupted continuity of the development that has been made. And we are at a state today that we need no much development now. We are on the way to make things better, and it is management that is what we need, because we have 100% electrification. We are the first organic state not in the country only.
You have been awarded recently once again. Yes.
And our recent proposal of the government is that Sikkim aims at providing a regular and guaranteed income to its citizens without any restrictions, which sounds an ambitious plan for sure, but if achieved, the scheme would go a long way in alleviating poverty.
Now I would just like to bring in another point here, and that is education. I think this is one important sector that really needs to be filled up a little bit more. Why I say that is that because Shillong, the capital of Meghalaya, is known to be an educational hub of the Northeast. We find a lot of student community that's coming from other Northeastern states to study here in Shillong. Now that is encouraging, that is great, but that also shows the other side. That means, do we have the required educational facility or don't we have the required educational facility in the other states? Otherwise, why do we have so many students from across to have to come, live in hostels, live in PGs and, spend a lot of their resources here? So when it comes to education, do you think every state, apart from Assam, other states of the Northeast has got that required, thrust when it comes to education? I would just bring in Bhim Tatal here from Gangtok, quickly from you, because you have painted a good picture of Gangtok. What do you have to say about this? Because we do have students from Sikkim as well coming to Meghalaya, to Shillong as well for studying.
Let me first inform you all that Sikkim has achieved 100% literacy. The other thing is that, as you were talking about the fact that there are students coming to Shillong, similarly...
Yeah, that's an example I've given, yes.
Yeah, in Gangtok, if you happen to come to Gangtok, you will see there are so many students in our university and the technical and the medical institutes in Sikkim who are from the Northeast. I mean, the rest of the part of the Northeast.
But they're also going out, sir. They're going out of the Northeast, out of the region to take up higher education.
That's important to analyze here. The fact is that Sikkim, being a state with 7,900 square kilometer land only, has almost developed to 14 universities. We, having a population of a little over 6.5 lakhs only, have a student percentage about 35%. We have the rate of development in the sector of education is very fast.
Okay.
And in the Northeast, Mizoram is one and Sikkim is other.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll just take a quick view from Mr. Satyabrata. Yes, okay, ma'am, just come in and I'll bring in Satyabrata Chakravarti
I think it's a high time we, as a panel speaker, we should not focus on the percentage-wise. It's not about having 100% literacy. It's about reducing the college and school drops out, imparting skill-based education, not only theoretical knowledge. Mizoram is the highest, maybe in census by 2011, we were the second among the states.
After Kerala.
With UTs, we are the third. But does that really reflect the educational level of the Mizos?
Okay.
So what exactly is education?
So
me it is
so where are we going
development.
wrong? Satyabrata Chakravarti, please come in now and tell us, because this is very important, because we are talking about the youth again and again. And when we talk about the youth, means education. So much of, migration happening, so much of them going outside the region as well for higher education. Surely something is wrong somewhere.
The educational scenario in our state is, we are optimistic. We are optimistic in the sense that educational infrastructure has been developed remarkably in so many years, and there is 2 medical colleges, 3 universities, NIT, National Institute of Technology, colleges of fishery, nursing, and general degree colleges.
Yes, sir, but why then so many? Why are so many students from the region still going out then, sir? That means it is not enough. We need to have more.
For higher education, they prefer to go out to Bangalore or Calcutta, Delhi, or elsewhere in the country for better education, quality education.
So does that mean that we need to have quality education and those establishments here in the region?
No, they are doing. But quality has no limit. So if somebody wants to get quality education, higher education, this is the age of sophisticacy. So we cannot bar it, we cannot prevent it. But there are a lot of people, there are a lot of students, youths, they are satisfied with the local educational system, and many are going out for better, higher education.
Okay. Professor Nanivas, a quick word in this?
Please give it 2 minutes to speak on this matter. Now, let us go back to the history of education in Arunachal Pradesh.
Okay.
Now, initially, after the independence of our country, Pandit Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, wanted that there should be a kind of policy which would be there without unnecessarily interfering in the tribal code of conduct. But what he did was, what the government of India then did was to bring in Hindu missionaries in order to impart education in Arunachal Pradesh.
Okay.
And we must also remember the fact that Christian missionaries were not allowed to come inside the inner line of in the frontier area of Arunachal Pradesh, and there are various reasons for that. I don't want to get into that.
Right.
And basically because of this, initially the government of Arunachal Pradesh also brought in the NCERT curricula, which had helped the people of Arunachal Pradesh to a great extent. And I must tell you, ma'am, that the people of Arunachal Pradesh, the students of Arunachal Pradesh, are well conversant with English, Hindi, Assamese, and also maybe some other languages. Now coming back to the educational scenario in Arunachal Pradesh, I would not say it is a good, also bad, but the government of Arunachal Pradesh is trying to do hard in order to bring about quality education in Arunachal Pradesh.
Okay.
But I'm not happy with the quality of education in Arunachal Pradesh, what one of our co-panelists said. This is because we have schools in Arunachal without teachers. We have schools in Arunachal Pradesh. We have teachers but no students. And we have more teachers than students in some of the schools in Arunachal Pradesh.
All right.
Therefore,
what
I mean,
is it in public school or
just a minute, just let me complete, ma'am. Now, these two schemes we have, SSA and Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. And this particularly SSA, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, did not do any well for the people of Arunachal Pradesh, I should say.
Okay.
This is because money were pumped in, it had gone to the corrupt politicians and also the educators and also the education, whoever were involved in this education sector and actually did not penetrate into the actual beneficiaries.
I'm glad I'm very glad that you're bringing out these points. Yes,
just a minute, ma'am.
Yes.
Now, in order to have a solution to this, I am told that near about 5 lakhs people from Northeast India goes out for higher education to Delhi, Bangalore, whatever. Now, in order to address this problem, we have to have political will, number one. Number two, we should have a governance, better governance. And third and most important is we have to have law and order. There should not be any law and order problem in the entire state of Arunachal, in the state Arunachal or any of the states in Northeast India.
Right.
These are done, then we would hope to bring in quality education.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more, and I'm so glad that you've brought these points directly and it has been heard. I'm sure the other panelists also will agree, because no development will succeed unless we have the atmosphere created in the region for development and a peaceful atmosphere. So do we have that? Dr. Lalretpui, once again, how is the atmosphere? Is the atmosphere right towards development, to bring in development? Are we friendly? Are we, infrastructure friendly? Do we have that situation
yes,
here?
I am very proud to say that Mizoram is an example when it comes to education.
What about the other northeastern states as well?
The other northeastern states, see, the national literacy rate is 74%. Just Mizoram and Sikkim are above the national average.
Right.
So the other states, I think they really have to try hard. As I have said, I am sticking to my point on skill development.
Okay, because
It's
you are
not
really
only
stressing
about,
on this.
theoretical teaching.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
And here I would like to add one point, since time is a limiting factor.
Right.
The first key point for development of Northeast is rural road connectivity. I would like to add
this is a very good
rural
point.
road connectivity.
Yes, this is a very good point, because we may be having a lot of national highways, but I think our rural connectivity is deplorable in many of the things. Villages, we don't have any roads. People are still walking. They're still using other means.
Because of lack of transportation, there is a huge loss on our agriculture
Right. I think
sector.
so. That should be the thrust to really improve rural connectivity. All right. So what about a peaceful atmosphere? Do you think that I just bring in Satyabrata Chakravarti once again. How is the scenario now? Are we more stable now when it comes to Northeast, and we are therefore, the atmosphere is right to bring in investment and development?
Yeah, we are optimistic about the situation now.
Because that is a primary requisite, I think.
Peace is everywhere, I think. In some areas there are some problems. I think the problems will be solved and people will be wise to select their own ways for development. Unless peace is there, friendship is there, goodwill is there, it is not possible to develop any particular area or the entire region.
And I think each of the northeastern states should also play a role together, because we are such a small region. I think we can really come together, use our its strengths to build up each other as well?
Well, when we talk about this particular factor, we can see at a level that the way the people of the rest of the Northeast in the mainland of the country develop acknowledgement of the people of the Northeast and the achievement and development of the Northeastern states, the way they have been acknowledging now has been quite worth appreciation. So it shows that it is not that bad as it
was. Yes.
Bad.
I mean, we may be moving slowly, but I think we are surely moving in the right direction.
And we are moving. It's slow but sure. It's gradual.
But the good
right now, what we need to do is that all the states of the North, including small brother Sikkim, it is really needed that we come to a close network. The North states themselves first need to have one single region together.
Okay.
So that we can go ahead.
Absolutely. So closing comments from each one of you. I give 20 seconds. Quickly your closing comments before we wrap up this discussion.
I would say or talk about the developmental agenda in Northeast India, particularly Arunachal Pradesh. If we could be in the position to understand what Pandit Nehru had said initially, framing the tribal policy of Northeast India or tribals in India, what he said is very, very important for us to understand. She said we should not judge the result by statistics or by the amount of money spent, but by the quality of character that is evolved.
Absolutely.
And
wonderful.
If it is the agenda of any government, I think development would come in a bigger way in Northeast India.
Fine. Madam, your last closing comments, another 20 seconds.
Say for the development of Northeastern state, ILP in a line regulation and the RFP restricted area permitted must be revoked on a permanent basis because these regulations contradict
only creates
the grand
barriers.
vision of opening up through the Act East policy.
Okay. Quickly, I come to Satyavrata. Quickly.
Center should ensure liberal flow of finance for building up infrastructure in the backward Northeast.
Absolutely. So on that note, I really have a completely exhausted time. I would like to thank each of our panelists from Aizawl, Agartala, Gangtok and Itanagar for having such a vibrant discussion today on the topic that we just had, development of Northeast in the 70 years, a retrospect. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to the studios.
Hope to see you again.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, dear listeners, you were just listening to a discussion on a live radio bridge program on the topic development of Northeast in 70 years, a retrospect. And, of course, this program has been produced by J. Gangte, engineers on duty, Sushiz Chaudhary, Rahul Maurya and Hobin, and your anchor is Dr. Maushmi De Chakraborty. This is a presentation of the Northeastern Service of All India Radio. Until next time, goodbye and good night.